Ladies and gentlemen, seekers of light and secret knowledge wherever you may be, you are listening to Points of Light Radio, the podcast dedicated to taking you past the apron and behind the closed doors of lodges everywhere. And here is your host, Stan Miller.
Greetings, brothers and sisters. Shalom, assalamu alaikum, adnastana. As always, it's a pleasure to be back with you here on Points of Light Radio. And this particular segment of Points of Light Radio is a double pleasure simply because we're doing our annual, shall we say, revisitation on the Muscovites. About this time every year, the Muscovites put on a degree, roughly around this time every year. And I try to cover that in order to help spread fraternalism, and in this case, the Muscovites around. You may recall him from today's guest from previous segments of Points of Light Radio here on Points of Light Radio, which, like I said, happens annually. This gentleman is named David Scheer. He's the secretary of the Peninsula Lodge 128 Independent Order of Oddfellows. He's also the elective secretary of the Northern Star Lodge 715 Grand United Order of Oddfellows, as well as the Kremlin Baku of the Noble Order of Muscovites. And as usually, he's here today to talk about the Noble Order of Muscovites and the degree itself. And I'm going to bounce a few other questions off him too. I just love having this guy on here. It's just amazing, right? But I'll give you a quick little background on what the Noble Order of Muscovites is about. The first known, it was called the Imperial Order of Muscovites, was founded in 1894. Imagine, this particular organization goes back pretty far, doesn't it? And it was an unrecognized dependent body to the Independent Order of Oddfellows, right? The basic order or body of the order is called a Kremlin, with officers styled as the Tsar, Patriarch, Regent, Commander, and so forth. But why am I doing all the explaining here? Let's have my guest explain. So, are you still thirsty for knowledge? I bet you are. Are you still searching for the light? Then let's just trim our lamps, brothers and sisters. Follow me. Mr. Scheer, welcome to Points of Light Radio.
Thank you, Stan. It's always great to be here.
Now, you hold various positions within the Oddfellows, but the one thing you're here to talk about today is the Noble Order of Muscovites, of which you are the Kremlin Baku. So first of all, tell my listeners and viewers about yourself.
My name is David Scheer, and I am going on my 45th year as an Oddfellow with the Independent Order. And I joined the Grand United Order of Oddfellows during COVID. And we recently received our charter to restart the New Northwest Oddfellows Lodge, Grand United Order of Oddfellows in Portland, originally founded in 1884. With the Muscovites, my dad was a member of the Muscovites, which is a fun order in the Oddfellows. And they were basically in charge of fundraising and entertainment at Grand Lodge events and other Oddfellow events. And my dad, my dad was a member in the 1970s, and they closed down here in the Pacific Northwest.
Wow.
But everything for the Noble Order of Muscovites, all the props and scripts were saved in the attic of Peninsula Lodge, which is my Independent Order Lodge. And in 2016, we relaunched the Muscovites.
So tell me now, what exactly do the Noble Order of Muscovites do?
So again, it's almost like an entertainers guild. We have been able to attract a lot of new young members who are into theater and musicians with this order, which, again, like I said, you join it by taking a fun degree. It's a comedy. And they provide the entertainment at a lot of our fundraisers. And many of them have moved up and actually have Grand Lodge positions now. And that is the main thing, the main purpose of the Muscovites is to raise money for fraternal charities. And unlike the first Muscovites, the Muscovites now are open to anyone of any fraternal order or service group. And so it's also a great way of promoting interfraternalism, getting to know members of other orders and lodges and service groups, and working together on our shared goals to help the community.
Now, you mentioned the changes within it. Did you manage to keep it faithful, shall we say, to its roots? Does it follow that same pattern that it originally did, do you find?
Yeah, so we have 2 copies of the original 1908 published copy of the Order of Muscovites, the Imperial Order. And so we started with that degree, and it's almost entirely following that degree. But throughout the years, there were a number of degrees, basically additions, things to update the degree, because humor tends to be not only specific to areas and cultures, but also to times. So there were times when jokes that just didn't land anymore got updated. And so we had these many different handwritten scripts where they had updated some of the humor. And for the launching of the Noble Order, we also changed a few things so that the humor would be more modern. But other than that, it is very, very close to the original script, which just was absolutely hilarious. When we read it the first time, it was like, this is so funny. We have to put this on.
Over 100 years old, you managed to do that, yeah. But what changes have you saw, shall we say, within the Muscovites in the last year?
Well, the biggest thing is that Muscovites were originally just North American. And with the advent of the internet and Zoom, we have been able to include people through the virtual Muscovite degree, bringing the degree to people all over the world. And throughout the world, it has spread. People love the degree. And of course, the most shining example is the Philippines, which is just a wonderful country with a great appreciation of fraternities. And they have really gone gangbusters and have many duchies there, Muscovite clubs there, and lots of members, and are doing lots of great work.
So you are opening new duchies and so on, in person as well, wow.
Yes. Yeah, so a lodge if they have 7 members, and again, they don't even have to be members of their lodge. They could be friends from other lodges. 7 members who take the Muscovite degree can get a charter, and the charter basically is like a user's agreement allowing them to put on the degree. Because one thing that's...
How did they go about doing that? Do you have to send you an email or...
Yeah, we have an online application.
Okay.
And once they fill it out, we go through our records, make sure that everyone has taken the degree, and then they sign some paperwork and we send them the charter, and then they can start performing the degree as a fundraiser for their fraternal order.
Okay. Now, in regards to the degree, do you find you learn a new thing every time you put this degree on? Is there something like I found personally, you get the degree, you're like with all fraternal orders, you get the degree, you learn something, you help someone else, you observe someone else get it, you learn something, you participate in the degree team, you learn even more. Or do you find the same thing with the Noble Order of Muscovites? Do you find that?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Isn't that wonderful?
Yeah, it is. And that's really one of the great things about degrees, is that the degrees were written to teach lessons. And even though this is a comedy, it still teaches very important lessons. And part of the reasons why we learn something new every time we put on the degree is because the candidates taking the degree are always new people. And in their taking of the degree, with their new excitement and their new backgrounds, it brings out aspects of the degree each time.
Okay. Now, what do you feel? Some odd fellows, even within the odd fellows, might say, I'm double odd, I'm taking all my degrees, I'm in the encampment, something. What would this do for me? What would you say to them?
Well, one of the greatest things about it is that it brings to fraternalism a real excitement and just a lot of fun. And, many times people join a fraternal order and you're doing a lot of work. You are doing things for the community, and you are sitting through the business meetings. And at a certain point, for many people, it starts to get, maybe just a little less enthusiasm and a little bit more just being in a routine. And having the Muscovite degree, which brings out so many people's talents, because that's a big part of the Muscovites, is really bringing out everybody's talents and bringing a lot of joy and fun. It can really revive fraternalism. It can really bring a spark back for especially people who have been attending for a long time.
Yeah. I think you'll agree as well. I think what you're trying to say is sometimes you think, I've put so much into this, when is it going to do something for me? And what you're saying is Muscovites does do something for the individual. It's the lodge giving back to you.
Yeah, it definitely gives back to the members for sure. Bringing that level of fun and excitement is something that everybody needs in their life.
Now, you say one of the reasons we got in contact was because you are going to be doing an online degree in very soon. And when exactly is that degree, and what time?
So that degree, I want to take a look at my calendar real quick, just because I am notorious for accidentally saying the wrong date. But it is Saturday, February 1st, and that is at, let me take a look. Sorry, I will.
It's okay.
So that is one of the things with being involved in lots of different orders. And here we go. So it is on the Facebook page for the Muscovites, and darn it. Okay, so it's at 11 a.m. Pacific time and 2 p.m. Eastern time.
Okay. And so you said you recently opened a new Grand United Order of Oddfellows Lodge. We'll definitely have to have you back here to talk about that. But so how do you go about, when you talk about something like that, how do you go about, shall we say, introducing someone to Odd Fellowship?
Yeah, so with Peninsula Lodge is very, very established in our community. We have lots and lots of community activities, and we have classes in our lodge that the lodge members teach. And so people are coming into Peninsula Lodge all the time, and the reputation is really out there. So that's really easy. We don't have to do anything. We get applications coming in 1 or 2 per month.
Wow.
So yeah, we see lots of growth there. But it is a challenge when you've got a brand new lodge that nobody knows about yet. So we're doing pretty good with the Grand United Order of Oddfellows Lodge, and we're just right out of the gate. And right now what we're doing is pretty much deciding, what do we want the mission and goals of our specific lodge to be? Do we want to work towards scholarships, or supporting other established organizations? What is the route that we want to take? And basically, while we are reaching out to people to tell them about our lodge, we know from
You're double odd, right?
Yes, double
You're
odd.
going to try to get other members of your International Order, Independent Order of Oddfellows Lodge, or you even reaching outside of that?
Right. So right now, all of the members of the new Grand United Order Lodge, they are all members of the Independent Order as well.
Okay.
So they are all double odds. And a big part of that is the Grand United Order of Oddfellows came first.
Oh, okay.
So the Independent Order, that's who they are independent from, is the Grand United Order.
Yeah.
So it's very exciting for people who are really devoted to Odd Fellowship to have a chance to join the original organization and learn a lot about the degrees and the ritual that came before the Independent Order. So it is very exciting and interesting to independent order meeting members. But we really want to make sure that this is going to be a grand united order.
Yeah. Well, Mr. Scheer, this has been wonderful fellowshipping with you again, and I want to have you back here to talk about your new Grand United Order of Oddfellows Lodge. But for now, all the best to you, the Muscovites, and your new endeavor as well, sir.
Thank you very much. And for you too, it's always great talking to you, Stan.
Thank you, sir. Good luck with it. Wasn't that great having him back on here? It really was. I love having Mr. Scheer on here. I love what he's doing, not just with the Muscovites, but with Odd Fellowship in general. He's an encyclopedia of this organization, the whole Odd Fellowship organization. But why do and people ask me, why do I have guests back on, or why do I feature an organization more than once here on Points of Light Radio? It's because every time you learn something, you really do. And speaking of learning, you've heard me say here on Points of Light Radio, you've heard me say that good degree work, is a degree that not only gives you a lesson for the lodge, but a lesson for life. It teaches you something. But I will say this, that this Muscovite degree takes that to the next level. Not only is it a lesson, not only does it teach you, you have fun, while you're doing it. It entertains. I love that. I really do. I think that's great. And it's always a pleasure for me to help promote fraternalism in some way or another, And I want to have Mr. Scheer back here on Points of Light Radio to discuss the Grand United Order of Oddfellows Lodge that he's starting in his area. I love this, And I'm going to close a link to not just as I always do in this particular segment, not only to the Muscovite Facebook page, but also to their website. And I'm going to remind you that, this particular degree they're putting on February 1st at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern. Be there or be square, brothers and sisters. It doesn't hurt. You don't have to be an odd fellow to take this degree before anyone asks again, And I've taken the degree myself, and I think it's wonderful. I just, I think it's a wonderful thing to be part of. And but that's all I have time for now, brothers and sisters. Before I go, I want to remind you that this podcast is available on both YouTube and Spreaker. Please share, like, and subscribe when viewing Points of Light Radio on YouTube. I also welcome your comments and input. You can follow Points of Light Radio on my Facebook page at facebook.com/Points of Light Radio. My Twitter handle is at PO Light Radio. You can see the link to my Spotify channel, as well as my Points of Light Radio store. And I gotta remind you of this, the PayPal link where you can go make a voluntary donation to Points of Light Radio, and we will use the money raised there to move the podcast forward. Brothers and sisters, it's been a pleasure fellowshipping with you and my guest today, promoting this. Until we meet again, just step into the light.